In this demonstration, I'll describe the steps within the Capture tab. These steps are required and must be completed entirely before you can move on to the Design tab, where all your modifications are completed. You'll note that I've now imported my scan and I'm ready to go and move on to the Edit step. I also want to note that you must save your scan with it pointed in the anterior direction prior to moving on to the Edit step. I've done that, so I'm going to go ahead and move on to Edit. Within the Edit step, or steps, we have three different icons. I'm going to left-click the first icon, and with this step, or this option, if you have a large area of artifact in the field that you need to remove, this icon is very helpful. By simply clicking on a large area anywhere in the field, this area will turn red, much like the model is now, and you can simply eliminate any area of noise or artifact very quickly and easily. If you have a smaller area, you can remove it very quickly and easily with this tool. It's the eraser tool. You can make it larger by using this little slider, and it will make the circle larger, and you can simply highlight it, it will turn red, left click, and it will erase it. I'm going to right click, zoom the model out a little bit, tilt it back upright. If your model is longer than it needs to be and you want to shorten it up, you can use this tool. Grab the screen, pull it down on top of the model, move over to the cut button, click cut, and it will shorten the model to the length that you want it to be. So if I hit medial, it'll spin it around, and then you can either square it up or shorten it up. You can see my model is not exactly square. I'm going to leave it the way it is because this scan was actually taken with the foot in a dorsiflex position. So there's really no editing I want to do to this. It looks like a pretty good scan. We're going to leave it as is. I'm going to hit anterior, spin it around. It'll zoom it again forward, make it a little larger, and I'm going to go ahead and move right on to the alignment or align shape step. With this, what we want to do, one of the first things is that this is really tipped forward. So I'm going to tip this to get the leg portion, and not so much the foot portion, but the leg more vertical. I'm going to slide this forward, and you can see how it's kind of ramping it up. I need to get the foot above the horizontal line. So I'm going to actually tip this back just a little bit more, and then move it forward just a little bit more than that. And actually, I might even just tip it back just a teeny bit more. Our goals here are to get the AFO above the horizontal line and to get the calf section as vertical as possible while keeping the vertical alignment line straight through our model. This one looks pretty good. I just need to rotate my foot laterally. The only way I can do that is by using this bent line and to turn the foot laterally, and this will affect all the models. Now my foot is turned out, looks a little square. I'm going to go change my focus back to the far left image, and I need to get this so that I have equal parts, or 4 equal quarters, in this green area looking down through the transverse plane. Okay, or get it as close as I can. So I have what appears to be pretty close to 4 equal quarters. I might just, if I can, just shift it a little bit. There we go. And then looking from the 5th med head to the 1st med head, I want to try to get this so that it's straight through the center as close as I can. All right, that looks pretty close. And again, my vertical axis right through the center here, I'm going to just tip it a little bit more to the right. Looks pretty close. I think that's as close as I can get it. And vertical right through the sagittal plane of this far right image. I think this looks pretty close. The heel is tipping down a little bit under that line, and it may end up cutting off a sliver off through the heel, and you know what? That's going to be fine. We're done. I'm going to Go to the next step. In this step, I need to place markers at each of these points. We'll start at the top, go to the Achilles insertion. I'll left click that, and it will spin the model around for me. I'm going to place this first circle at the Achilles tendon insertion. Left click twice, the marker is now there. I'll move on to the next marker, the toe center. I like to place it right in the center of the toes, and you'll notice a red line will appear running right through the foot. I'll move on to the next one, top of the foot. This marker needs to be placed at the third metatarsal head. This is the dorsal aspect of the foot. It takes a little bit of guesswork because we can't be absolutely certain, so use your best judgment. We're going to do the same thing at the bottom of the foot, third metatarsal head. And our hope is that this ends up being pretty vertical. Straight line, one runs right through the other. That looks great. Medial malleolus or malleolus, and the navicular. All right, we've placed all of our markers. We're going to go on to the cleanup step, left click that. If you've placed these correctly, you will have the image of the entire model of your leg. If it doesn't work correctly, sometimes you'll end up with missing parts of the toes or the foot. In this case, everything looks great. We have a very nice scan. All right, in terms of cleaning up the model, you can see that it's a little bumpy and uneven up here. With the Smart Global Blend or Global Smart Blend, I usually just left click this once and you can see how this bumpy area up here cleaned up a little bit. So I usually just do this one time. It kind of does a general cleanup of the entire model. I usually, again, just do that one time. We're going to move on to landmarks. Now in here, I actually created an AFO landmarks and a foot orthotic one. The standard AFO landmarks is the standard one that comes from Willowwood. I added just a couple of different landmarks that I like to use. So left click it, the model reappears. We're going to place one at the fibular head. The lateral malleolus. Medial's already been placed. First metatarsal head. Again, I'm placing these by double clicking. Fifth metatarsal head. And sometimes it helps by flipping that up. You can see I placed this too distal. Because I still have it highlighted, I can now just grab this and move it back. Or I can move it proximally. Again, flip this up. Looks like I still need to go just a little bit further. Backwards, so it's at the apex. That looks better. We're going to leave it right there. Navicular has already been placed, and that has also been placed earlier. All right, so we've completed that step. We're ready to move on to the Design tab. In here, we want to move to select the AFO modifications wizard or stack. As far as the Capture tab goes, we have now completed everything we need to do within the Capture tab, and we can start our modifications within the Design tab.